Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spinner Rack, and we also have.
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
So today, 2 days ago, Marvel Studios released a new Eternals trailer. So we are going to react to it. When I say react, we literally going to well, nothing more than anything we usually see. But if you're seeing this first, you get to react with us. Ready, set. I'm there.
5 years ago,
Yes.
the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger.
Now wait a second. Wait a second. Are we going to be referencing that movie from the past again? Are we going to have the Civil War effect? Let's keep going. You about to say something?
No, I just agreed. Yep. You didn't have to stop here on the black screen. You could have
Wait a
stopped.
second. I saw a picture. I saw another shot of.
Sudden return.
Okay. I didn't miss a shot of sound.
Population.
That's where you should have stopped the cut.
Necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
How long do we have?
7 days.
Now, you could play that totally differently.
What are you thinking?
Well, if you could have the guy there with Salma, she's like, how long do we have? 7 days. And that's a love story instead. Okay. All right. I guess everybody knows we love Salma. We'll leave it alone.
Oh, there'll be more. There will be more.
We came here 7,000 years ago to protect humans from the deviants.
History.
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts unless deviants are involved.
By who?
Yeah, I got a big problem with that.
What? You talking about the casting? You're not good. That's too many things to get into. You start on.
No, well, I'm gonna get into that. I got a problem with that.
Here we go. We get our Celestial.
Who's that? Arisham the judge?
I need the hand. I was gonna get that tattoo of the hand. And the tattoo, but I was gonna put it on my hand. I was gonna get it somewhere on the arm or something like that. And it's like, you know what? I need to give this to a tattoo artist and stylize it. Keep that effect, but what would work on the arm?
We need to find the others.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
Hi.
Hello.
Now, all right, well, I'll get into it later. All right.
This is what the end of the world looks like. Used to be a front row seat.
Oh, look at Sprite. Did you see Sprite look all mean? Why do you have a name called Sprite and you're just like...
That's 7,000 years old.
It's still Sprite.
Nobody can keep their enthusiasm for 7,000 years. He's corrupt.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
Yeah, I got a problem with that guy.
Here we go. Seeing some good things, and I'm seeing some things.
You got it perfect. Because like on my screen, the two of us, is cutting off that dude's head. So that's fine. So
oh, you're so bad.
I don't gotta pay too much attention. No, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna hold back when it comes to him. But hey, otherwise, this is a good looking shot.
The thing is,
all the prominent characters are in the front. Pretty much the first four. Then we got some supporting characters over here. Okay, we got Sprite. You got whoever that dude is, and those two at the extreme end over there. And then you got our third tier character, my man over here in the purple, with his head cut off. So there you go.
Okay.
Since the day we arrived, when you love something, you protect it.
Is that supposed to be Crow?
That's the thing.
And Crow's got 4 eyes now?
That
No joke, no pun intended. Dun, dun, dun.
I bet you've built the perfect safe house. Well, what's this even made of? Vibranium? Fall collection. IKEA.
Ooh. See, that was what another issue with the references to the Marvel stuff, to let you know, hey, this is a Marvel movie. We reference our footnote again to the Marvel characters. So we got some Eternals for you. And do you want to go first, sir?
I think you should go first on this.
Okay.
I think you'll be a softer touch tonight.
All right, so I didn't expect that you would have your own gripes to go at, but I shall go in. And ultimately, what I'm seeing here is, now movies have a lot of levity to them and a lot of humor and all that stuff. Like Hollywood does humor, action humor, smart remarks, humor, this, that, and the other. They do it perfectly. Taking these gods and having them be secondary to the Avengers did all this stuff, stop this. Now we gotta come in as a secondary. This is why the original comic book worked, in the sense of saying, don't try to say, hey, here's a Fantastic Four, here's the Avengers, and we meet the what's the name, because they would seem secondary to those characters, which they did when Roy Thomas brought them into Thor. Even though they had the Forgotten One, who was the strongest Thor, and it was a great fight, most of the time people were like, oh, okay, these guys aren't what they were. But in their own comic, if you read them in their own comic book, they seemed extremely important. So right now, trying to do all the footnotes to the Avengers is not working for me. You can say the Mad Titan was one of us, or something like that, or something that we didn't know about. We, for whatever reason, we left. But trying to say, to sell you, like way Stan Lee used to do, is like, go back and read issue 1, whatever. In the past, though you couldn't always afford those books. But this thing of referencing the stuff, it never worked for Civil War, in my opinion, and it's not going to work for Endgame. You haven't seen Endgame, you're not interested. Just them talking about it and doing these funny lines about the Captain America. I'm the new Captain America. I should be the leader, and everyone's like, not you. Icarus is like you can't. These guys are fun characters. What Kirby did, whether they say it's not as good as the Fantastic Four or the Thor stuff or the New Gods. As a kid, I read this. I only had one as a kid, which was a Cosmic Powered Hulk issue. And then when I actually read it, I was really surprised how much fun he put into the stories, how joyous the Eternals were. That when they were meeting each other, when we meet Icarus, and he's very stoic into his thing. This guy that's seemingly like a archaeologist or something like that. But we actually find out, no, he is an Eternal, and he runs into Ajax, and they're so happy to see each other. And it's just like, and Kirby conveying that joy between the two characters. And then when Icarus runs into Cersei is like, I said, oh, Cersei, you're so great to see. He said, oh, you're just being pleasant because you're afraid I'll turn you into a pig. And he's like, yeah, maybe there might be something to that. It was this tongue-in-cheek humor, the fact that the humans in the history got it wrong. And that's what I'm missing here. There's so much things you could do, especially in Hollywood movies. They always do jokes, and that the stuff that if you read it, instead of looking at it and saying it's secondary to everything, or third, it's a level D level Kirby stuff. It was a lot of fun that he put into this, using the idea of myths and myths being wrong. and that sort of thing. So saying the spelling of Cersei's different, same with like Harris and all this other stuff, Athena instead of Athena, that sort of thing. And then ultimately the relationship what you brought up with Athena and Crow, because Crow comes in there, he's like, hey, let's do the monster thing. Let's scare. We got the gods come back. Let's scare New York. And then next thing you know, they all go to court. And then Crow's like, hey, these horns, they were just for effect. And he just gets rid of them. And then he's like, hey, the Stina thing here. We remember we had something, and just like, I don't know, Crow. He's like, it's been a long time. He's like, no, I'm not that bad. And it was this gray area which turned into sort of a fun thing. They had obviously evil deviants, but the fact that the space gods were coming back, and I think in the comic books they don't really like these guys. The Eternals are already on Earth, so I think the space gods were traveling in the spaceships to Earth, but we didn't get the idea because these guys are huge that they could fit in the spaceship that Kirby put them in. Because the space gods returned, and the next thing you know, you see a spaceship, and they talk about these big, huge, and they find Ajax and all this stuff. So I think what's missing for me, instead of doing these got heroes that stand up and stoic and pose and all this other stuff. Yes, that's a lot of things that you can do in comic books, and that's cool. But these are the Eternals. And that's the thing. The hardest part is one of my favorite thing about the Eternals is Sprite and the Forgotten One, and the idea that Sprite's alone has messed up and said that all the Eternals are gone. Who can I get? It's like, oh, the Forgotten One. And he plays to the hook of the name, and I really got hooked into it of saying, is this Gilgamesh? Is this Hercules? Like saying, but Marvel already has no, Kirby's just having fun with it. So it's like, he's like, I've been known as many, and I've known as none. And then he goes in there, you don't even see his face, that sort of thing. Like, there's levels of drama that you can play to here when you find the Forgotten One, to saying that, there's something that he went through that he doesn't want to say. And then Sprite just being a fun character, not just the standard thing you find in my so-called life or something like that. So I can't get to I can't. It's always the Mercury character, but I always pronounce that one wrong. I can't even get into that because he was, he had a lot of bells and whistles to his costume that couldn't translate, and they just said, "Hey, we'll put anyone there." So, as I say, I just think this should have more fun, and not fun connecting it to the Avengers. Have fun of these characters bringing up their interaction. I think that's where Kirby is really getting his strength of developing these characters, of having like Harris being the leader, but at the same time, these were his equals. He's the one that's sort of directing things, but at the same time, because he's the focus of it. But at some point, the story, the most interesting stuff was Dina with the reject and Carcass. Like those couple of that storyline with them was, and Crow was some of her meeting the deviants and seeing their society was the power. Not having these deviants is just like, oh, okay, the deviants come, they're evil, blah, blah, blah. Everyone says they want solid, well-rounded villains. Well, Kirby gave you well-rounded deviants. Like, you go there, they'd have their own society, they had their own wacky stuff that was going on there. Thena, who is one of the Eternals, goes there, and that's where she gets the interaction where we don't know who's going to win between the reject and Carcass and that sort of thing. So much stuff, there's so many levels, and having to hear it'll be in the next movie, it just makes me say I don't want to see this movie in that case. But the positives is that Salma's there, Angelina Jolie's there. I can't say much about the other characters because Ike Harris is kind of this guy who's not the leader when he was. Even if he got beat up by was it Macquarie? He almost got beat up by him, but at the same time he was still the hero. He's still the hero of the book. So that's my misgivings. Only because I remember I'm such a fan of the comic book And
Yeah. Anybody listening, I think we're pretty much getting that. And that I definitely feel your pain because I've had to go through this with a bunch of different things that have come out, like Cursed, The Green Knight, where like you're such a fan of the source material and these people decide to do something else and you're like, why? The stuff I read was so good. Why? Why? You know, you hope for some good. I mean, I'm cracking up because your name like, oh, we got what do you? We got Salma Hayek here, and Angelina Jolie's there, and then we got the rest of these people. I really don't care. I don't really care about it. Just the two hot chicks, and you know everybody else. Hopefully, you guys can carry this story somewhere. It's if you were to go about this, well, this is pretty much almost what I think we would have done with the New Gods if they had been able to keep going with it. But you could easily just move a few people around and you would get the right characters. I don't understand why they cast this dude for Icarus and he's not blonde. I just don't get it at the end of the day. It may just be like a cosmetic thing, but that's the Icarus look at the end of the day. But you could easily, you could take Salma and then you could put her in Gemma Chan's outfit and then you got the correct casting, okay? You could take the guy over here to the left, third, what is it? Yeah, about third from left, right next to Angelina Jolie, switch him over with this dude with Fat Fastos over there, and you can put him in over there and you got the correct Fastos, okay? You can do some, literally, the dude over here who's playing Icarus, you can switch up and you can make him, Makari. That's pretty much what he's supposed to look like. But I never understood. It's like these guys show up and who are you auditioning for? I'm auditioning for Makari. No, you're Icarus. And what are they going to say? No? Like, okay, getting paid, right? Getting a check. You know, I came here to act these roles. You got these other people. I mean, Sprite is okay. You know, and that's pretty much it. Then everybody else is like, okay, you could literally take these people out of the roles, put some other people in, and you get at least you would have that visual quality of what you saw with the Eternals. I mean, my experience with the Eternals was that I tolerated them until I enjoyed them because I didn't like. Well, for me, I'm again big exponent of Hercules, all the myths. So somebody coming in and saying, "Oh no, those two myths, I did those, Hercules didn't." I'm like, what the hell with you? Who are you? At the end of the day, then I had to reason this with myself, saying Hercules myths are so many and so big, and at the end of the day, that somebody easily could just be misconstrued with it. And so I was like, okay, I'll tamp it down, Marvel Universe. But they were coming in that, oh yeah, Gilgamesh, he's the one who did a couple of the Herculean labors. I'm like, get the hell out of here, Gilgamesh. You got a suit with no face, but then after you start making the pot shots, again, this is to a large extent, at least for me, this is like an alternative Greek mythology or an alternative Greek history. That you have these particular interactions going on. And Kirby, without a doubt, Kirby loved mythology. And that's all the way from, that's everything from Thor to the New Gods to the Eternals to Captain Victory. Okay, this was a guy who not only loved mythology, but understood it. So that's some of the stuff that you would definitely want to see coming out of the Eternals film. Unfortunately, we already got a film where they're saying, look, we got to get something done in 7 days or, the whole planet is done. Why 7 days? Well, because we're going with the whole God thing. So we're going to have 7 days to create stuff, 7 days to destroy it. But why also do they have to do something within 7 days? Because they were on the sidelines for everything else that happened everything else that happened up to Thanos snapping his finger. There's just no excuse for it at this point. Why didn't you guys get involved? Well, Thanos isn't a deviant. No, he's an Eternal just like you. For those of us who have read the comics, he's one of these Titans. He's like, why didn't you guys come over and stop him? So then you have that lingering over the whole thing. But if you just want to go by the trailer, the trailer looks really slick. Like, it gives a lot more information as to what we can expect than we had before. We still have the Black Knight, who has yet to been shown in costume. So for those of you who have a copy of the first appearance of the Black Knight, hold on to it just a little bit longer. If that book was already skyrocketed in price, it's going even higher the second we see Kit Harington as the Black Knight proper. But this is the last trailer that they're going to show, so I don't know. We may not even see it till the film. I agree with some of the points that you made, especially with the qualities that you get out of the comic. But I think with that, you're in the same boat as me. You're somebody who actually did the reading, and these are films, and they've already told us before more than once. Hey, the books are the books, the films are the films, and we're gonna get what we get at the end of the day. Good costuming, good costuming without a doubt. this is the last trailer. It's a good trailer to end with. And I guess we'll just have to see what unfolds.
Well, I mean, it's I don't know. It's one of those things you look at it and it's just the opportunity to do something with this and not say like the 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 having to reference Thanos and do the whole thing and say why we weren't here and didn't like every movie's gonna have to do this. Why the X-Men didn't come out, or people hating the X-Men because they didn't come out when Thanos came out, and Fantastic Four. We were in the '60s and we popped in, and we're in the future now. We don't know how we got here. We're learning how the future goes on there. So that
As long as
sort of stuff really is just weighing down the story when we don't care. Nobody wants to watch Ant-Man 2 spend first hour talking about Civil War. But they did do that, and they said everyone's going to be asking about Civil War. When ultimately, you after 2 or 3 movies, somebody might ask about something like, Tom Cruise and Ethan Hunt's wife, and say, "Hey, what happened to Julia? We think he's still married," that sort of thing. And they say, "Okay, well, maybe we'll deal with it," that sort of thing. Whereas let the audience then ask these questions instead of just jumping around. When, and a lot of times, the way comic books work, especially early on, they would do stories, and a lot of times, even in the Eternals, they didn't. I guess Kirby couldn't do the End of Days. So nothing, the space gods don't really do much at a point. So it starts, those first 9 are basically really, the Judgment Day, where the Celestials comes back and they're literally putting judgment on the planet, and the next thing they're not doing anything. So it feels like Archie Goodwin turned and say, this is like the end of everything, ain't it? If they make the decree, it's like, well, how would they stop them? They really can't stop the space gods. Oh yeah, all right. Can we not blow up the Marvel universe? Oh yeah, don't worry. Oh, I can do some other stuff. So that's one of the things where you get to do in this movie a Judgment Day, and then figure out how these guys will pause the Celestials, or just have them go about their business. But it'd really be terrible if they're doing hey, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, like that sort of stuff, and then just like these empty deviants, when it's just like, the deviants that are still around are the ones that are kind of are able to manipulate their form the same way the Eternals are, where they're so they're as malleable as the Eternals, but not in necessarily a good way. So I don't know. I mean, it's fun to be had with these characters, but they just, they're just putting something out, and they got this filmmaker that's going to have this real beautiful footage and her direction of the story. So we'll see how it goes.
No, they got this is something else I'm not sure how they're going to get around, because you built up to this incredibly big story where half the universe got wiped out. So the idea of the Earth ending in 7 days, I'm certain they'll be able to pull it off. Especially since this is Cersei's character by Salma Hayek, but it says, no, I'm sorry, that's Ajax. But that's your doing. You put that in my head from, so now that's all I'm going to see it. But she's saying, look, half the universe was wiped out and then brought back with just a snap of the finger by these mortals. I say, so great. So what are you guys going to do? That's how high the bar was set, to the point that they got to split the multiverse. I'm not exactly sure what these characters are here for, but we'll see. We will see.
In comic books, there's no moment where in the Infinity Gauntlet they reference. Remember when the space gods came? This is worse than that. Like you don't have to reference everything. Oh man, I was sleeping when Galactus came. We wanted to help you out, Fantastic Four, but we were, we had a late night. We were partying, playing baseball, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like which time? Galactus has been here more than once.
Yeah, it's been a rough sort of what is it? The comic time is 7 years. It's been a rough 7 years, man. Come on, like no, I think one of the best online thing was he said someone said where was the Super Scroll when the Scroll Homeworld got destroyed? He said actually he was like because he was shot through the what's that thing the Van Allen belt thing. He was traveling, so he actually wasn't there at the time. He said, but if he was there, it'd be more like a not my job, man. He'd be in some ship. I'm out of here. See ya. Like ain't nothing I could do. Like a waste of time.
That sounds like the Super Scroll. He's been a free agent for a very, very long time.
Yeah. So I mean, this is their just I think even though I could go back and forth on the changes they did to the Guardians of the Galaxy and saying this is they took clay and they molded it into what they wanted, but they didn't have to reference the Marvel stuff. We watch and say, oh yeah, the Collector was in this other thing. Oh look, Howard the Duck, he is from this thing. We're catching all the Easter eggs. This is like bang bang, end game. So like I think if we could get past that, I could get to what the story is instead of saying, hey, remember how great end game was? It's like, okay, yeah, I'm having a Civil War kind of effect here. I want to talk about it no more. So that's it for me. We got Salma. She should be just taking the lead and not playing this game where they make Icarus a jerk. Just make her the lead and call it a day. Make Ajax the lead.
You heard it here first. Get rid of everybody else except Salma Hayek and call it The Eternal Hotness, and that's going to be the name of the movie.
Hollywood just realizing what they had. They're like saying, but she has an act. Like, who the hell?
They all have accents, and I never imagined that Icarus would have a Scottish one.
Well, that's the thing. The thing about this, that's why despite Salma's heritage, you can play to the Kirby aspect of saying, hey, the myths got it wrong, but they're not going to do that. They're just going to be like, we're the Avengers. We, the Eternals, are basically Avengers 2.0. It's like, none of these whack jokes. Like, play up, look at what Kirby did, and say, oh yeah, there was some humor to it. Oh no, he was doing Chariot of the Gods. He was doing that theory. He was doing that thing, like that's what he was trying to do. It's like, yeah, didn't Neil Gaiman do that joke in his Eternals? I think it's overused.
But I figure a couple of these Eternals are probably going to die in the movie.
You can't Eternals. They can't die.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the fat one can. They have the nerve. No, I'm just so annoyed. I'm like, why is this dude? You gotta be kidding me. This dude's an Eternal. Okay.
People like this dude.
He's an Eternal, and this dude looks like he's been doing push-ups with Twinkies or something of that nature. And then they have the nerve to put him in the outfit. If you're gonna be that lax and that slack at the end, look at this from left to right. Okay, look at everybody from left to right. It's like okay. Then it's like one of these things does not belong here. And it's you, Bastos. Good grief. I understand that they like him. If you like him, make him like the human sidekick or something. He shouldn't be.
Ooh, that was bad. That is one of the most hurtful things you could ever make. I'm going to repeat what he said because you don't see him on camera saying it. Make him the human sidekick. I'm just going to leave that there.
Yeah, that last crack with IKEA, and he's doing like the little head swivel when he's doing it. I was like, oh no. So you're gonna be all the way, right? Okay.
Oh man.
Got it.
They didn't put him in a dress. They've done that to
what he's wearing.
They've done it to him before. I don't have a good shot of him here in this thing.
That's a perfect shot. That's a perfect shot.
Let's go here. Let's go here for a second. All right. I'm gonna say, I wanted to see his hair. I want to see his hair because there's this thing with brothers where brothers can't comb their hair anymore because
What hair? It's running away from his head.
it is running away. But you saw in the wide shot of everyone.
And he's supposed to be an eternal. No, I don't get his character. Everybody else, full head of hair, shape, looks like they're still within like the vigor of life. Okay. Salma Hayek is easily older than him. Angelina Jolie, easily older, and yet they look in better shape and better health than this dude over here. Seriously, man, the new definition to couch potato.
All right, I get you've established that. I want to get to my point of why can't brothers comb what little hair they got?
It's the new revolution.
I get it. If you wake up and you got it organized, when I had hair, there's no point where I could go out and not comb it. I would have to pick it out.
That was a different time. That was a different time. That's when people. That was when grooming, that type of stuff was actually looked upon as a necessity. You came out of the house, you didn't have yourself properly groomed, so on and so forth. You were going to get cracked on from the moment you stepped into the school building to the moment you ran out of the school building, because that's how hard the day was going to be. Now, these guys are taking the natural and going all the way with it. This isn't even like the natural. This is lazy. The natural, you just combed it first.
They act as if combing it is disrespecting your natural hair. Kinky hair can be combed. This is the point of you comb it, you put it together, and this, that, and the other. Yes, if you want to do even that is a stylized nappy type of hair. It's like you're not totally doing that. You're just making sure the top and even, but ultimately you wake up and your hair is a mess. That ain't gonna be put together. Just like you have to groom it. But why does it have this half in, half out thing? Somehow the beard is taken together, but we can't comb the hair? Come on.
Hey, what can I say?
And everybody can't be that guy that has the half nappy hair on the top. There's someone styling it that way. Everyone acts like, oh, brothers wake up and then they just, we don't want to say nothing to them because, black people, like it's a different with women. Women flip out. I mean, I'm saying when they had they call it the kid play. We had the fade, and they say, oh, in the movie, no one wanted to touch. They go to the hair, and then they wouldn't touch kids' hair in the movie. In real life, what do? Touch all the time. Black people touch hair too.
Now I look at the cat. It reminds me of like some situation would be in school and the teacher would look at you or look at somebody else and be like, did you comb your hair today? When they could still say stuff like that and not get in trouble for it. That's where it is. But hey, I'm just totally, Fastos in the comic is bald headed. You could have shaved this. So I couldn't get, you know what? At this point, I'm just going to be piling on because I'm unhappy with the casting on that. Not his fault. Everybody's got to work, so on and so forth. If you just took everybody from like, I guess you could do the movie. You could just take the first 5. You could just take one, literally counting from the left of Fina. All right, counting over. You could just take the guy over here in the brown and the brown, and then take Fina, Ikaris, Salma Hayek, and Gemma Chan, and that would be your movie. You don't need the other people. Which is pretty much how they're stationed. They're like, okay, you guys are in the front, and these other guys are probably going to die. I mean, we even got that nice little image of Makari right there, which, well, I guess this is video, so I'm pretty certain it would smooth out a little bit more. Same way she's being blocked, that's what the camera focuses on. Those 5. We really don't need the rest.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's the thing. We haven't even gotten into the love triangle. For the only reason why they would drag in the Black Knight, so which is not like Ikaris had no real romantic thing with Cersei. Like Cersei was actually into can't be older than Cersei, but just a regular dude that she was dragging around in the story. He was a regular. I think he might have been balding with glasses, and she was just like dragging him through the story as someone she was interested in. And I don't know if it went that far, but it was just like, all right, she just she just found some guy she interested in now, right? That's what it is. This whole thing, this turn where we've seen her in Avengers, and I guess it was Mark Runnell who first did it, where she kind of, flirted with Captain America. And then when they obviously have Gilgamesh, and he's kind of he's out of it, and he's like, so we have him here, and he's dead, and he's like, he can't be dead. He's an Eternal. And then of course that's why when you said that, I immediately thought of that story. And then of course you wind up, and then they all get wiped out. He said, but of course it's a comic story, so they figured it out in the end. But that sort of thing, which kept her in the Avengers for a little while longer. But then when she comes back, it turned into was it Dane in the Avengers, and he became, from what he was, into a like a Mel Gibson, Martin Riggs type character, like who's cool and all this other stuff. I'm like, it's the Black Knight. He's not. But anyway, we're not seeing him yet. But of course, we're gonna deal with that, and I guess see where that goes. I never really liked the Black Knight Cersei thing and the characters that were spawned from those two. So the fact that they're using that stuff, I mean, someone said, I forget online who said it, but they say whatever most recent people done with these characters, they kind of use that stuff. And I don't think that's the most famous stuff, but it was, we might be seeing that stuff here, and the person who's stuck holding the bag is going to be Icarus. So I guess that's it. Anything else you got for this?
No, nothing more than just pile on. We can leave it here.
Well, you got more to pile on? Yeah.
No.
You didn't mean that. Okay, got it. All right then. I'm gonna say Spinnerack
Out.